You made Space Waves for $50,000,
Correct.
but you started with 10.
Right.
Can you talk about how you raised the first 10,000?
Yeah, so the first 10,000 was really just a lot of asking friends and family and calling up different people and connections we had. We did an Indiegogo fundraising campaign. That went all right, but we didn't want to, we didn't want to settle, and we're like, no, we need 10K to like do this film. So we ended up doing like a garage sale as well, which was really cool, and that brought in close to $1,000, and we just had people donate stuff, and then we set up this big garage sale and sold a bunch of stuff, and so that helped. And we just tried to get creative, and then Andrew, who's the producer, him and I both put in money ourselves, and so it was just a big combination of things.
Had Andrew ever made a film before?
He had made just short films, just same as me.
So you were both in the same boat.
I think he had made kind of a 20 or 30-minute short film, and then he had done a longer documentary back in high school as well, a part of like his high school project. But this was both of our first features.
So with the first 10,000, what was the hardest hurdle to get over to raise that money? Like, where did the bulk of that 10,000 come from? The Indiegogo?
It didn't necessarily come from the Indiegogo. I think the bulk of it came from our parents and grandparents and like those closest to us who donated maybe a few thousand each. So that was probably where most of it came from. So yeah, just people that really believed in us and that have been in our corner since day one.
And did you have to sit them down and convince them, or they knew this was something you were planning to do with or without them?
Definitely the latter. I mean, especially I can just speak for my parents. Like they know whenever I put my focus and attention on something, I'm gonna follow through and do it. So they were supportive from the beginning. Yeah.
Did they say, you sure you want to do this? Or they were just like, no, we're behind you?
They can't really convince me. They're just kind of like, oh, well, Spencer's going to do his thing. So yeah, great parents though. Love you, Mom and Dad.
What did you find is the most effective way to ask for money?
Yeah. That's hard. It's really hard. There's no easy way, I don't think, to ask for money. But I think the best way to do it is to share the vision for the film first and share what's the message. Why are you doing this? That's the most important thing. If it's just, oh, I want to make a cool movie, that's okay. That's one thing. But if you're saying, oh, I want to tell this story, and I want to impact people, and I want to influence people, and I want to, I have something to say to the world, that's a lot more enticing of an idea, and that's something that more people can get behind, and that's something that more people will actually give you their money for because they believe in you, they believe in the message, and if you're aligned on that, then you can partner up and it's going to go well.
How much money did you have on the first day of production for Space Waves?
I think it was like $9,000, $9,000 or $10,000, yeah.
And while you were filming on that first day, were you thinking about, is this going to carry us through? How or no, it was just, this is the first day, we're super excited.
I mean, yeah, we didn't really we didn't know how we were gonna do it. I mean, we're just so young. I mean, Andrew was 18 and I was 22 and we did it, and so it was just kind of like, hey, we have 10K, let's hope it lasts for these next 3 weeks on production. But we didn't really know what we were doing or if it was going to work, but we just walked in faith, and we went hard every single day, and we put our A game into it 100% the whole way there.
How many days were you able to film before that money ran out?
We got through the whole principal photography. Yeah, so we got through the 18 shoot days, which I think was like 3 weeks because we had a few break days. But we got through principal photography just barely. And then after that, it was just kind of doing a lot of pickup shoots. So like we'd reshot the playground scene, or we had to shoot the classroom scene, or BPV news scene. So we had some different pickups that we had to do, but it was much easier to kind of raise some money for those, or prepare for those, because they were spread out, later. It wasn't like, oh, every single day we're shooting a scene like how it was on principal photography.
And you're taking everybody from Southern California and you're driving how many miles north?
I don't even know, a lot of miles. Yeah, all the way up to NorCal, all the way up to Grass Valley. So we took all the film equipment that Biola University let us use. So we put it all in a trailer and drove up there, brought our cast and crew up there, our main 4 cast. And then I think basically everyone else was hired from NorCal or San Francisco or something for the other roles in the film.
Where was everyone staying?
We were staying in my parents' house and then family friends' houses. So like I said, my parents were super on board, very supportive. And so we got to stay in their place. We shot a scene in my old room that I grew up in. And my parents had friends that let us stay in their homes. And so, yeah, I just always say, like, utilize your resources, and whether that be locations, places to sleep, places to stay, whatever. And also just friends and family for cast members and extras and stuff. It's like, hey, come be in my movie and stuff. So just always play to your strengths and utilize any resources you have. That's what I would say.
That probably saved you a ton of money then.
Yes, it did.
Right.
Because we didn't pay for hardly any locations in Space Waves. We only paid for a couple. And that's the way it should be. And like we were saying earlier off camera, I think it's really, it's surprising just how many people will help you out if you just ask. Like, hey, can we film in your driveway? Can we film in your little small mom and pop business? It never hurts to ask, and a lot of people will be interested, and a lot of people will be excited about having their location in a film. So I always try to get every location, or as many locations as I can, for free. And so far it's been going good.
So that's part of the small town hospitality.
Yes,
They wanted
exactly.
to see you succeed.
Yeah.
But if you had done it down here, probably
Yeah.
would have been a little tougher.
Definitely, but sort of similar down here. I mean, we were able to shoot in local connections places. So like in a house or an exterior, or at Biola University, we're able to use their newsroom. So, you can still utilize your resources even if you live in SoCal. It just might be a little trickier.
What happened when the money did run out?
Oh, man. When the money ran out, it was just Andrew, the producer, and I working working minimum wage jobs like right out of college and saving up money, and then being like, okay, we've got a few grand. Okay, we're gonna pay for sound design. And then that's worked on for a few months. And then we save up. And then, okay, we have another few grand that we're gonna pay for color grade and then score and so on. And so that's like the main reason the film took so long, is because we just kept running out of money. And we kept having to save up money in order to just get through the next hurdle and get through the next phase of post-production. So that was just one of the toughest things of this whole thing, was just constantly running out of money. And it really is, it tests your mental fortitude, being able to continue with a project when you're halfway in, you're in the thick of it, and yeah, some of it's done, it's shot, or sound design is done, but you have all these other steps that are not done yet. It can be really discouraging and really hard. And for us as well, we had our main hard drive fail, which was devastating. And we thought we had everything backed up on a backup drive, but we were missing one scene. And so we had to spend the money that we were gonna spend on like our sound design, like a few $1,000s. We had to spend that money on getting the main hard drive repaired. So that set us back like, I don't even know how many months, like 3 or 6 months or something, because then we had to save up again and then put the money in to get the next phase of, sound done or whatever. So there are things like that that'll happen that you have to be aware of, and that you have to just get through. And every film, there's going to be challenges like that.
At least you could salvage it.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. That's good. Yeah, because you had the
crazy.
bulk of it. You said the 18 days
We
were
had
pretty much in the
everything.
can. Okay.
And then just one scene hadn't been backed up, and we were like, okay, either we reshoot it, but that wasn't really viable, or we have to pay to get the hard drive recovered. And so we ended up doing that.
How did you raise the additional 40,000?
Like I said, it was mostly a lot of self-funding. And then I think we ran a second Indiegogo campaign once we had shot like principal photography so people could see clips from the film, which was cool. And so that helped a lot. You know, it's like, hey, this is what the film could look like. Here's some shots from it. And, you know, people get on a moving train more than they do a stopped train. So people were excited about it. People gave money to us. But yeah, most of it was just self-funded with Andrew, the producer, and myself. And then we had some investors come on at the very end for probably a total of 10K, split up between a few different people. And so they have equity in the film, and then they'll get paid out, as well as Andrew and I.
What would you say to someone who says you can't make a feature film for $10,000?
They're just a hater. I mean, you can do it. Anyone can do it. I think it's also just a question of how good is the movie going to be, you know, with your limited budget. So we started with 10K and we were doing pretty well, but it was one of those things where we weren't happy with it. And so we took the extra time to reshoot some things, to re-edit some things. We scrapped 8 months of sound design because the first sound designer we worked with it just wasn't working. And so we said, we're not going to settle. We're not going to compromise. So we lost all that work. We went and hired someone else. And so that's the thing. It's like you can make a movie for very cheap, and it'll depend on how well it turns out or whatever. It's not like more money means a better movie, but it can mean a better movie. And in our case, we wanted to spend as little as possible. And 50K was about how much it cost for us to spend as little as possible while making the best movie that we could.
You had a great camera package too, correct?
Yes, yeah.
What did you shoot on?
Oh, it's funny because the camera was like worth our entire budget. I think we shot on the Red Epic Dragon, and so that was like a $50,000 camera or whatever. So that definitely helped being able to use our film school's equipment.
And the DP was someone that you also knew from school?
Yep, the DP, Connor Griffin, was our classmate, and he's an amazing DP, and we owe him a lot, and he did such a great job. Him and our gaffer, and that's another thing I say is like always try to make sure you have a good gaffer and good DP, because that is such a deciding factor on, you know, how good your film looks. Because if you just have blank walls or you don't have dynamic shadows and stuff in frame, it's going to look cheap. It's going to look student film. So really take your lighting and camera work seriously, and also just be smart about how you're shooting. So I mean, shoot your exteriors in the morning light and in the evening light, and then shoot your interiors in the daytime, you know, and things like that. Basically, just try to be smart with it.